People complain about how quickly things move in this city, about how hard it is to keep up. Well, those people who are complaining obviously have never been caught in New York rush hour traffic.
Well, I left my job about 5 o'clock. It took 15 minutes to go 3 blocks, just in time to stand in line with the freeway looking like a parking lot. Damn this traffic jam, how I hates to be late. It hurts my motor to go so slow. Damn this traffic jam, now I get home, my supper will be cold. Damn this traffic jam.
Maddening, isn't it? But that hasn't stopped commuters from coming in and out of this city every day. In fact, every morning, over 1.5 million commuters jam their way into Manhattan alone. But since last December, commuters have been able to get some help by merely turning on their radio.
Next, with WABC's Shadow Traffic Report, here's Jack Packard.
Well, John, at the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, as you're heading out inbound toward...
What is shadow traffic? It's a complex radio network that gives commuters up-to-the-minute traffic conditions during the morning and evening drive times. Shadow gets its information from a variety of sources. There's a fleet of 3 light planes.
The West Side Highway at 135th Street, blocked up in both directions for about a mile.
And 12 patrol cars that cover the tri-state area.
We've got at least about 1.5 miles back up at this point and building.
Add to that traffic spotters stationed in the Empire State Building and the World Trade Center. Constant communication with transit and police authorities. And a clever device called the Shadow Box, a remote-controlled CB receiver which picks up conversations along the roadways that shadow vehicles don't cover.
Break 19, cover 1036, please. Come on.
So what happens to all this information that's coming in from various air and ground reports? Well, it comes here. This is the information center of the Shadow Network in Union, New Jersey. It's kind of like a nerve center. It's here every weekday morning at 5 o'clock. A staff of 12 people come in and start compiling these traffic reports and sending them out to over 40 different radio stations in the tri-state area.
Schedule. That's Shadow Traffic. I'm Bernie Wagenblast.
This is Susan Murphy with WNEW Shadow Traffic.
Okay, Al Bandito, Fred Feldman, Shadow Traffic for you, and I do hope...
Fred Feldman flew the WOR helicopter for 16 years doing traffic reports. Now he's on the ground as general manager of Shadow Traffic in New York, the 3rd city, besides Chicago and Philadelphia, to have this service.
It started as a CB club down in Philadelphia, and the originator's handle was Shadow. And he was doing an awful lot of voluntary information on the roadways to the motorists, and he finally got the idea, well, let's go to a radio station and see if they want to buy it. One radio station bought it, and then it just spread from there into a formal organization.
What do you see as the real service that the Shadow Network provides?
We can advise the motorist before he gets into a tie-up, and he can then, being a knowledgeable motorist, can divert to alternate routes.
As you get toward the George Washington Bridge, try to use the upper deck. That's running a little bit better than the lower. Lincoln and Holland...
And I think in general, really, you're contributing to the economy. You're cutting down gas usage. You're cutting down fumes. You help to save lives, etc., in many ways.
And though still relatively young, Shadow is catching on with commuters.
They just tell you where the accidents are and how to get in, how to get into the city. It helps.
Oh, yeah. Hey. Yeah, that's what I'm listening to right now.
No, they help me out. When I drive in, I don't drive in very often to the city, but, you know, they help me out. Like, I didn't take the Holland Tunnel today, which maybe I should have.
Most of the Shadow staff members are young, and for many, it's their first professional broadcasting experience. Chris Clark, for instance, gave up a musician's life to drive one of the Shadow Patrol cars. Have you learned anything about this city and about the people in it since you've had this job?
Yeah, I find that people are definite creatures of habit. It's kind of hard to expect somebody to break tradition after 4 or 5 years of driving the same roads to work to automatically take an alternate because there's a jam up. But we've got to break them of that habit so that they learn to take more alternates and they understand that there's more than one way to get to Rome. You know?
Have you ever gotten stuck just like everybody else?
Oh, yeah. I feel like a fool, too, sometimes.
While the 3 planes that Shadow uses don't have to worry about getting stuck in ground traffic, they've got their own problems. Each pilot flies up to 500 miles a day in and around 3 of the busiest airports in the country. So not only do they have to keep an eye out for traffic on the ground in order to report on it, they also have to keep an eye out for traffic in the air to avoid it.
Base 1 southbound the Palisades Interstate Parkway, Route 80 and Route 46, all approaching the George Washington Bridge, are experiencing extensive delays.
The trick for the broadcasters back in Union is to translate the reports into exciting copy on the radio. And if anyone knows catchy traffic lingo, it's Shadow Program Director Susan Murphy.
There are only so many ways you can say heavy, but if there's a way to say it, we usually use it, because that's what we do, delays, a lot of them.
Give me some of your phrases.
Bottlenecks, residual delays, doing the speed limit, the backup extends to, congested, sluggish, very heavy, slightly heavy. Oh, bumper to bumper, that's a biggie. Bumper to bumper. Slow to
Okay,
crawl,
Susan,
doing
we
a
get the
snail's pace.
picture. And Shadow will probably run out of words long before New York runs out of traffic jams. But where will Shadow Network go from here? Does Fred Feldman and his crew plan to carry their message across the country?
The world, you will. Someday we're going to cover the world. Who knows what the Shadow will do?
It's happening now.